Joining us now to discuss is House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, who represents Minnesota's 6th Congressional District. So first of all, Congressman, thank you so much for coming on.
Good to be with you.
So we have this massive fraud scandal continuing to unravel this week. What do you believe were the most critical oversight failures within the Walz administration? And how should Minnesota restructure its safeguards to prevent this from happening again?
Well, the first thing you do is you got to get rid of Tim Walz and Keith Ellison and Ilhan Omar. I mean, there's your biggest structural problem right there. Let me put some context around this for your viewers, your listeners. The facts are this. Today, there are roughly, by some estimates, about 80,000 Somali immigrants that are living in Minnesota. The vast majority of them live in Minneapolis or Hennepin County, an area called Cedar Riverside. Tim Walz and Keith Ellison cannot get votes in greater Minnesota. Think about this. In the last re-election, Tim Walz outspent the Republican candidates $15 million to $1.7 million, and he won with 52%, just over 52% of the vote. If you look a little deeper, we have 87 counties. Tim Walz only won the 13 metro counties. So what is this about? This is about the fact that when he and Keith Ellison took office, Keith Ellison instantly set up a policy in his attorney general's office that required his approval before any further investigations into fraud could go forward. Guess what? He's never approved one of them.
Incredible.
And it's not that all Somali immigrants are bad. It just so happens that 90% of the crimes we're talking about have been committed by people that are in the Somali community. And by the way, they have been sending millions back to Somalia into the hands of al-Shabaab, so a known terrorist group. So if you look at Keith Ellison, he won by a little less than 1 point in his last election. What is this all about? This is all about them getting reelected. They need that 60 to 80,000 Somali population to be voting for them. Look, you had the $250 million fraud that people have heard, the largest pandemic fraud case in the country. This was a nutritional supplement, I'll call it, program during COVID, where the states were administering money out of the Department of Agriculture through their Department of Education to schools to try and feed children during COVID. $250 million. Who in the Minnesota Department of Education has been held accountable for this? Then there was the Medicaid housing fraud. They started in 2020. Program was estimated to be a little more than $2 million a year. By 2024, in 4 years, they'd sucked $100 million out of it. And guess what? They shut her down just last October after they sucked another $61 million out of it, and they realized the fraud.
Is there any action being taken to hold people accountable if they did look the other way knowingly? What investigations are going on with that, and what do you hope to see pursued?
Look, I think our U.S. Justice Department is starting to pick up where Minnesota should have been involved, investigating not only the fraud, but who might have been not just incompetent, but actively engaged in the fraud, because they should be held criminally responsible. You've got Dr. Oz, who's investigating a fraud on the Medicaid program. You've got Kelly Loeffler, who's investigating fraud in the SBA program. You got Kash Patel, who's busy with his team investigating Somali gangs that have frankly been running rampant in the Twin Cities committing crimes, and no one will hold them accountable for it.
Let's hope we do see some action on this, because we don't want to see billions more wasted on fraud. Congressman Emmer, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you again.